Let me explain something to you about winning. Everyone around you has limits they've accepted, borders set by their fears, doubts, and comfort zones. Most people build a fence around what's possible and never even try to climb over it. But if you want the life you dream about, you've got to rise above every single limit the world tries to put on you. The reality is, life will constantly try to convince you that you're not good enough, that you're not ready, that your place is below your true potential. I'm here to tell you that those limits are an illusion, and only you have the power to shatter them. Here's your hook. What if the only thing holding you back is the story in your head? The story that says, stop here, settle here, play safe. Winners rewrite the narrative. Every time the word can't comes up, champions replace it with watch me, hesitation, fear, exhaustion. These are signals to push harder, not reasons to tap out. Rising above limits isn't just for the lucky few. It's for anyone relentless enough to reject average and demand something greater from themselves. Most people see walls. High performers see a challenge. Winning, dominating. These aren't reserved for the gifted or the privileged. They're a choice made in the trenches of persistence. You're never going to breeze past obstacles with hope or empty motivation. Life is about resilience, about getting hit and refusing to stay down, about embracing pressure and punching through glass ceilings. Here's another hook. The next time you encounter a limit, physical, mental, financial, emotional, ask yourself, what if I refuse to accept this? Winners live for that moment, for the opportunity to break what others say is unbreakable. Discipline, hustle, and unwavering belief in yourself turn boundaries into stepping stones. Every level you want to reach is calibrated by how high you're willing to climb beyond what's comfortable. Limits are illusions. Champions smash through them with relentless action every day. There's a dirty little secret about the world. Almost every restriction, obstacle, or ceiling you see is nothing more than someone else's idea of what was possible. Most people spend their lives memorizing the rules handed down by society, parents, friends, the media, and then they quietly mold their entire lives around these invisible boundaries. They say, people like me can't do that. That's too much for someone from my background, or nobody I know has ever gone that far. These phrases become self-imposed chains, blindly accepted, untested, and unchallenged. But champions are built differently. They treat every supposed limit as the starting line, not the finish. Here's your hook. Ask yourself, who decided where your limits are? Was it you? Or was it the voices of people who already gave up on pushing themselves? Imagine if, instead of inheriting limitations, you inherited an obsession for breaking them. Champions never accept this is just how things are. If the door is locked, they break it down. If the summit looks impossible, they invent a new way to climb. This isn't bravado. It's the mindset of those who have decided mediocrity is unacceptable. They know every time they act with relentless drive, every day they refuse to be defined by someone else's ideas. They chip away at the wall until there's nothing left but open sky. What separates the unstoppable from the crowd is the refusal to let a single day pass by defined by limits. Champions wake up asking, where can I break a barrier? They attack their weaknesses, seek out discomfort, and make it a daily ritual to do something that would terrify the average person. The gym session after a sleepless night, the cold call in the face of 100 rejections, the bold leap into a new venture with no guarantees. These are the moments where imaginary lines disappear and new standards are set. Every act of relentless action is another strike against the boundaries holding everyone else hostage. Here's another hook. Most people live by rules they've never questioned. Champions question everything. Why can't I? What if I do more? What if I work twice as hard? What if I outlast, outperform, and outthink my environment? Suddenly, the impossible becomes inevitable. Champions don't ask if there's a limit. They ask what it will take to go beyond it, and then they pay the price with sweat, focus, and time. They're not waiting for permission. Winners refuse to make excuses, don't spend time pointing to circumstances, and never look for anyone to rescue them. They rise again and again, each battle with limits, making them more dangerous, more skilled, and more confident. Every barrier you ever face, whether mental, physical, or emotional, is just a suggestion. You can accept it or attack it. Champions attack. That's how records are broken, how legacies are made, and how real change is birthed. The world respects relentless action, and every move you make to defy limits becomes a new example for everyone watching, especially yourself. When you push past what you thought was possible, you not only expand your own capacity, but you also rewrite what is allowed for anyone who dares to dream bigger. Live every day on the edge of what's possible, never forgetting the only limits that truly exist are the ones you let stand unbroken. Be the force that smashes them. The only real boundaries are the ones you accept, reject them, and rise higher than anyone expects. From the moment you step out into the world, you're bombarded with labels, expectations, and ceilings, most built not by your own failures, but by someone else's comfort zone. The truth champions know is brutally simple boundaries are suggestions, not sentences. The difference between extraordinary performers and the masses is their refusal to internalize other people's limitations. Society will hand you a story about what's realistic. Family and friends will hint at what's safe. The weak play along, living quieter lives than they ever dreamed possible. The relentless, though, achievers who make history consider those boundaries as nothing more than invitations to rise, to dominate, and to shock everyone who doubted them. Here's your hook. What would your life look like if you stopped accepting inherited boundaries and started setting your own expectations? Imagine waking up each morning deciding that your ambitions are the only compass guiding your journey. Let the world talk about what can or can't be done. The only voice you need to listen to is your own, especially when it's daring you to go higher, go faster, go further. Winners are allergic to comfort zones. They treat fear, skepticism, and advice rooted in limitation as fuel, not anchors. Every broken boundary you witness, a first in your family, a new record in your sport, a world-changing business idea, was born when someone refused to bow to the standards around them. They didn't wait for permission. They looked at the imaginary barrier, locked eyes, and stepped through as if it never existed. The reality is, most boundaries aren't fences at all. They're walls of fog meant to obscure your vision, but easily pierced by decisive action, relentless focus, and the courage to be different. Here's another hook. Look around you. Every single person who ever astonished the world, who forced their name into the history books, started by rejecting what was handed to them and rewriting the rules to fit their mission. You don't get to legendary by coloring inside the lines someone else drew for you. The question is never, can it be done? It's, how will I prove it can be done by me? That switch from asking for permission to demanding a result elevates you above the noise and makes you unstoppable in any domain. Don't let the soft expectations of the world shackle your potential. Every time you accept a boundary, you build a cage. Every time you reject one, you build a ladder out. Champions become addicted to expansion, not just in their skills or wealth, but in their vision of self. The higher you climb, the more resistance you'll face. That's where most people turn back. But if you crave respect, freedom, and legacy, you have to keep rising even when the altitude gets uncomfortable. The people who get remembered, who leave empires behind, are the ones who never let the word enough creep into their mindset. They turn limitations into milestones, doubts into motivation, and ceilings into launching pads. So the next time you hear what you can't do, let it echo in your mind as a direct challenge. Go further than they expect, outwork their doubts, and let your results shatter their boundaries. Based on the limits you reject today, your future will either be a story of excuses or a story of excellence. Reject their boundaries, then rise and make your own rules. Every obstacle is a test. Embrace pressure and prove your greatness through discipline and resilience. The moment you encounter resistance on your path, you realize you're standing at a crossroads. You can either shrink back into familiar comfort, or you can square your shoulders and advance, ready to demonstrate what you're made of. Champions recognize that every single obstacle is an invitation to elevate. Most people see a hurdle and hesitate, convinced it's a sign to ease up or turn around. But those who command respect and build lasting legacies treat every difficulty and setback as the testing ground where their true power emerges. Imagine reframing adversity as your opportunity. Each struggle is no different than an exam, one that measures your strength, willpower, and how much you're willing to endure for the life you claim to want. Pressure is the great equalizer. Under fire, pretenders collapse, but real winners stay standing, fueled by something stronger than the urge to quit. When life hits you hard, when uncertainty closes in, the world watches closely to see whether you'll fade or fight. Discipline means controlling your actions when every muscle aches, when your mind screams for comfort, when results lag and progress stalls. Resilience is refusing to accept defeat, no matter how many times you're knocked off course. Here's your hook. What if you saw every hardship, every bit of pressure, as a unique chance to separate yourself from the crowd? While others complain, rationalize, and blame circumstances, champions instinctively look for the lesson and the leverage. They ask, how can I grow from this? What will this teach me about who I'm becoming? Every battle, every trial, every setback is a forge for your character. If you're serious about winning, you chase the hardest challenges, you put yourself where pressure is multiplied, and you never let momentum stall, even when it hurts. Why do some people explode with success while others languish in mediocrity? It's not luck, talent, or even intelligence. It's the addiction to discipline and resilience under constant pressure. Greatness is a habit built in the daily grind, the grind that everyone else avoids. Anyone can perform when things are easy, when wins feel guaranteed. But when nothing is working, when the chips are down, discipline carries you through execution, doubt, and fatigue. Resilience means bouncing back after setbacks, picking up the pieces faster, and refusing to lose 2 days to the same defeat. Here's another hook. The scoreboard of life doesn't care about your excuses or the pain you suffered. It only tracks what you overcome and the victories you earned. Champions use high-pressure moments as fuel. Adversity wakes up their hunger. They lean in when others lean out. Every time you exercise discipline instead of comfort, every time you forgive yourself and get back up after a loss, you build the power to face bigger opponents, bigger obstacles, and chase bigger goals. Over time, this mindset becomes your armor. Pressure and pain lose their terror once you realize they are just proving grounds for legendary achievement. So move toward challenges instead of away from them. Build the discipline to keep going when every sign says quit. Instead of fearing adversity, start to crave it, knowing that every test survived hardens your resolve and primes you for the next ascent. The people who win aren't those who seek an easy ride, but those who welcome the hard battles, embrace pressure, and emerge sharpened and unstoppable. When you make pressure part of your daily process, greatness stops being a possibility and becomes your reality. Let obstacles be your invitation, accept the challenge, prove your strength, and let discipline and resilience become your signature. Winners rewrite the story in their head, replace "I can't" with "I will," and dominate the challenge. Every moment of real progress begins inside your own mind. The limits you encounter in the world first take root in your thinking. If you believe you're not good enough, not resilient enough, not smart or lucky enough, then your actions will quietly sabotage every opportunity in front of you. Most people internalize the negative voices from childhood, from peers, from society, and unknowingly program themselves to quit before they've even begun. Champions break this pattern. They realize early that the story running in their head is either a weapon or a trap, and they choose language that unlocks their power, not drains it. Here's your hook. What would happen if you challenged every negative thought and replaced it on purpose with ironclad conviction? Picture feeling resistance, doubt seeping in, old narratives replaying, fear whispering in your ear, and instead of retreating, you rewrite the lines, "I can't" becomes "I will." This isn't blind optimism, it's disciplined mental engineering. Winners guard their internal dialogue as fiercely as their time because they know every paradigm shift begins there. The quiet inner commitment to "I will" plants the seed for massive achievement even before the obstacles appear. When you speak courage to yourself, your body and habits align around the mission. Actions taken with strong, positive self-talk create momentum. The average person's thoughts run unchecked. "I'm not ready. This is too hard. I always mess up." Champions intercept every one of these mental patterns and swap them with "I will finish," "I will improve," "I will win." Over time, this repetitive discipline rewires not only attitude, but actual performance. You don't see champions echoing defeat. They have taught themselves to out-muscle adversity with belief, then backed it with execution until victory is their default setting. Here's another hook. Think about the most successful people in any field. They weren't born immune to struggle. They just confronted and rewritten their internal dialogue so many times that "I will" became their psychological reflex. They run into a brick wall. I will find a way around. They suffer a loss. I will bounce back stronger. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to flex not just physical or technical skill, but the unbreakable belief that they deserve to win and will do whatever it takes to achieve their ambitions. A weak story in your head will cripple your energy and silence your boldest ideas. When you catch yourself thinking in limitation, disrupt it immediately. Winners are ruthless about self-talk. When the crowd outcomes and even their own failures try to drag them down, they double down on the language of conviction. Tell yourself, I will dominate this challenge. I will keep moving no matter the odds. I will set a new standard and make history. Neural pathways grow stronger with repetition, and soon you'll discover you're walking taller, chasing bigger victories, and refusing to settle. All because you've mastered the most powerful story you'll ever hear, the one you tell yourself. If you want to rewrite your destiny, you must rewrite the script in your mind. Replace hesitation and excuses with determination and commitment. Choose I will every time the alternative tempts you, and you'll watch your world reconfigure itself to fit your new narrative. Greatness starts nowhere else but inside your own head. So make it unstoppable. Progress happens outside your comfort zone. Get addicted to discomfort and keep expanding what's possible. Real growth, true breakthroughs, and championship results never occur in the safe, familiar space where nothing challenges you. Most people spend their lives seeking ease, treating comfort like an achievement. They build routines that are predictable and protect themselves from every possible discomfort, forgetting that stagnation is the silent killer of potential. Champions have a radically different priority. They recognize that the edge of discomfort is where new ability is forged, where confidence multiplies, and where limits vanish. Every day spent in the safety zone is a day wasted. Lives change when you deliberately step into uncertainty and dare to stretch. Here's your hook. Imagine getting addicted not to feeling good, but to growing stronger and making discomfort the evidence you're on the right track. Where your friends see a reason to slow down, you power up. While the crowd chooses habits that keep life easy, you hunt down the hard tasks because you know that's where progress lies. Winners plan their days around doing something that tightens their chest, sharpens their focus, and rattles their limits. The discomfort of pressing forward, risking embarrassment, or enduring exhaustion becomes a badge of honor. It means you're alive and actively expanding what's possible for you. Outside the comfort zone, you discover lessons, resilience, speed, and skills that simply can't be built any other way. Champions fall in love with the process of being uncomfortable. Their best memories are the moments of struggling, overcoming, and thriving where most would turn back. That next cold shower, tough negotiation, brutal workout, or risk-taking business move are the places where you level up mentally and emotionally. Progress isn't always measurable in the moment, but every deliberate step away from ease adds invisible power to your life. Adversity teaches grit. Discomfort teaches adaptability. Both are required if you plan to win big. Here's another hook. Think of a single high performer you admire. They reached greatness by seeking discomfort, making a daily habit out of stepping past the limits of what felt safe. If you want what they have, you must do what they did, reject comfort as a goal, and chase the moments that demand more from you. The mind tries to protect you from pain and hardship, but champions override this programming with relentless intent. They stretch until discomfort becomes their normal, and as their capacity grows, their goals grow with it. Comfort is overrated. Every step into the unknown tests your belief, sharpens discipline, and reveals weakness you can strengthen. The greatest breakthroughs happen when you push through resistance instead of recoiling from it. Winners view discomfort as a compass. If it feels hard, it's the right direction. Block out the voices that tell you to play safe, avoid risk, or slow down. Every day, look for the task that scares you a little, demands energy, or means failing in public. Each time you do, you shift your boundaries further, create momentum, and ignite your hunger for what's beyond your current abilities. Let discomfort become your challenge and your advantage. Ruthlessly leave the comfort zone behind, knowing that progress is not a one-time event, but a daily choice to keep expanding. Champions are addicted to this feeling. They resist the pull of ease, welcome the friction, and keep stacking victories in places no one else is willing to go. If you want to rise, You must get used to being uncomfortable, seek out the places where pressure intensifies, and make every uncomfortable decision a celebration of progress. Comfort zones destroy ambition. Discomfort resets your limits and fuels your legacy of greatness. Your legacy is built by refusing to settle, rise, perform, and show the world how far you're willing to go. Too many people coast through life accepting good enough from themselves and the circumstances around them. They trick themselves into believing that settling is a form of wisdom, a way to avoid risk and disappointment. But what's really being avoided is greatness, the kind that demands you stretch, fight, and outdo yourself every single day. Champions think differently. They understand that legacies aren't built from average performances. They realize that settle is the most dangerous word in the vocabulary of a winner. Every time you say it's enough, you give away a piece of your potential, a chance to leave an unmistakable mark. Here's your hook. Ask yourself, if the world watched your efforts today, would they see hunger, passion, and a refusal to back down? Or someone who surrendered their ambitions at the first sign of resistance? Winners stand out not because life never challenged them, but because they rose in the face of adversity, performed when everything said quit, and surprised doubters by their refusal to back away from the dream. The difference is always in the extra mile, the last rep, the late night spent perfecting something most would have abandoned. Legacies are not gifted. They're sculpted from decision after decision to outwork, outlast, and outthink everyone else. When others slow down, champions accelerate. When mediocrity whispers in your ear to stay comfortable, you get louder, reminding yourself why you began, what you're chasing, and how much more you deserve. Settling is the enemy of evolution, and every instance you refuse to settle, you gain ground on becoming the person your goals demand. High performers know exactly where they're heading, and they let no convenient excuse or minor victory make them complacent. Here's another hook. Picture your future self looking back, not just at wins and losses, but at the legacy you carved out by never giving in. Will you be proud you performed when nobody believed, when setbacks piled up, when comfort begged you to quit? Champions attack life with the mindset that their story must be written in bold strokes, not soft, forgettable lines. Every time you rise instead of lying low, and every time you show up ready to perform, you prove to yourself and the world that anything is possible when you refuse to be ordinary. Every breakthrough takes relentless action and a refusal to dial it in when things get routine. Champions reinvent themselves, level up their standards, and raise the expectations for everyone around them. Their legacy doesn't rest on luck or singular achievement. It stands on a foundation built brick by brick from days that demanded more and nights spent without applause. They don't seek validation or comfort. They chase impact, transformation, and results that echo long after they're gone. When you rise above expectations and refuse to settle, you give others permission to do the same. You become the evidence that greatness is accessible to anyone willing to pay the price, fight harder, and believe longer. Your journey inspires not because it was easy, but because you chose excellence in moments when average would have been enough. There will always be opportunities to stop short, take a break, and let life set your limits. Champions spit in the face of those opportunities, stare down every challenge, and keep going with the conviction that what they build will last. This is how real legacies are forged, by rising beyond good enough, performing at your absolute peak, and living every day as proof of how far you're willing to go to become unforgettable. I promise you, rising above your limits is the only way you earn a life that commands respect, wealth, and self-belief. Don't talk about what's stopping you. Use every obstacle as proof that you've outgrown what used to contain you. Never let doubt, negativity, or the expectations of the crowd keep you caged. Break your limits, outwork your excuses, and make every day a statement you refuse to be ordinary. You were born to rise and dominate. Now it's time to prove it.